the limit. They're very strict about that. If you ping sound twice, and if you go over that limit, they're going to make you fix it, and that can involve pulling you off the racetrack. So you got to be in that sound limit. And for Tom and Eric, they were fighting to restrict their exhaust without choking off the flow of their engines.
Right, and both of those drivers driving with a K-Series engine and Honda K-Series are notoriously sensitive with any kind of exhaust. I mean, that's why if you throw a header on a K-Series engine, you get like 20, 30 horsepower. They're just really picky about what's happening with their exhaust gases. And when you throw a baffle into the muffler, you're immediately messing with those exhaust gases. The car's not tuned for it. They don't make a lot of power. So that's what we were seeing between Tom and Eric in the beginning.
It's like breathing through a straw, but you can inhale all the air you want, and then you're exhaling through a straw. That's essentially, you're choking it off on the exhale, essentially.
Right, exactly. Yeah, a restrictor will kind of flatten out the power, but the exhaust just it's like it's the nail in the coffin. Now, here's something to keep in mind, looking up in our little tent that we have here. The clouds are lifting, and when the sound is bouncing off the clouds, it seems like the clouds are far enough away. But point 3 and point 1, where they blew that sound, the clouds disappearing, that's between passing and making sound.
And a little bit warmer this afternoon than it was this morning in height in the air, 69 degrees on the racetrack. And you'll see that the radar is pretty clear, so the clouds should be lifting more and more throughout the rest of the day. So we've talked about sound. We've talked about a couple of the drivers we have our eyes on. But also coming into the weekend, let's talk briefly about the format of GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. For those at home that aren't familiar with GLTC, basically GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is a rapidly growing, expanding wheel-to-wheel racing series that focuses on sprint races in a single category of race cars. No multi-class here. Everybody's running the same roughly 12.5 pounds per horsepower power-to-weight ratio. If you want to add go-fast parts, you want to add a wing, cool. Got to add some weight, though, to balance it out. So there are lots of modifiers to adjust performance based on your power and weight level and what tire you're running. Some drivers will elect for Hoosier slicks. Some drivers will elect for a tire like the Falken RT660, which is a very popular street tire. There's a lot of options here in this series. It means you've got super diverse builds. We've got a Corvette raced on Miata. We've got a V8 swapped FRS. We've got, there's RX-8s that show up now and then. All sorts of really cool stuff.
Yeah, the class just lets you show up in the car that you think is cool, and then you just match the car to whatever power to weight that you would need depending on what kind of mods you want to run. So you'll see cars out there with full aero. Those cars have a slightly lower power to weight than the cars with absolutely no aero. And then you'll see cars out there on street tires. They can run even less weight than those cars because there's a negative modifier on weight for that. And this sounds complicated, but literally to figure out how your car places is like one page on a PDF.
Right. And honestly, the rule set is fairly simple. It's not that many pages, and it's easy to understand once you kind of take a look at it. What I love about GLTC is the diversity from front to back. There's so many different builds, and we've seen all sorts of different cars win races before, and so many different drivers from all over the country. Sort of Midwest-centric, but it's been sort of bursting out of that bubble. We go to PPIR in Colorado. We started off our season at NOLA Motorsports Park in New Orleans. We've gone to COTA before a couple times. All over the country. We've got some great racetracks coming up. Road America up towards the end of the year. A lot of fun.
And we have drivers from all over the country too. I mean, we have multiple drivers from Florida. We've had drivers from California, Arizona. Like for some reason, they're making the trip. That's like a 30-hour drive out to like where we are. But yeah, it's drivers from all over the country that just they're watching the stream just like you, and they just come out, they have a great time, and most of the time they stick around.
So format this weekend, we've got 4 races this weekend. This is only race number 1 that we're about to watch. The other 3 races will be tomorrow afternoon. We've got 1 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And the idea here is we've got 4 15-minute sprint races. So that's flag to flag, 15 minutes. That's a short race. So what that means is that if you start back in 27th where Tom O'Gorman is starting, you got a long day ahead of you to carve through that. I mean, long day, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a short day, but it's going to feel long in the car. So with a short race, you got a lot of high intensity. We've got 40 cars on this grid, DJ. If you start 23rd, how do you carve your way through that?
You just have to capitalize on other people's mistakes. But I mean, the thing to keep in mind also is that the fastest time from race 1 is what grids you for race 2. So if you feel like you left a lot on the table for qualifying, then you could spend your entire race 1 battling the guy in front of you, but at some point maybe you should just, unless you're going to get by him, back off and just get a flyer just so you can have a better grid position for race 2, so your entire weekend isn't caught up in the mid pack or whatever, so you end up more likely to where your pace is going to be.
Absolutely. You see the track getting some repairs right now. Tire bundle getting some attention there towards the, I think that's actually heading up after Deception, I believe, on the back side of the racetrack. So they're going to adjust some things and move some tire bundles around before we get into a race. So we're in a bit of a delay here.
Is there a car?
I don't think so. I hope not. I
see the tires moved, but I don't see any like skid marks
Must
or
be a real tiny car
or ruffled dirt.
There might be a Matchbox car.
You know, Jeremy Swenson has this scooter that goes like 50 miles an hour. I'm gonna have to stick you on it later so I can watch you die. No, maybe somebody went out there in that scooter, and the scooter's somewhere in that tire rack. Kyle, I'm telling you, this scooter.
I saw him zip by on that last night. It's fast.
Well, okay, so the throttle on it has like this weird lag, so it goes from nothing to like 100%. You're literally doing a two-wheel burnout. Oh, by the way, it's all-wheel drive. You're doing a two-wheel burnout, and then it has regenerative braking that doesn't like feel good. It wants to throw you off the back of it, and then when you hit the brakes, it wants to throw you off the front of it. We're gonna have to get you on that later.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool. The truck's moving away here from the wall on the back side of the racetrack, and hopefully we can get cars rolling here in just a moment for our first of 4 races here this weekend. We're going to have our qualifying results pulled up here so we can walk you through the starting lineup once the cars begin their roll. We're going to get 1 pace lap. We're going to turn them loose. Now, DJ, the driver on the pole position can select which lane they want to start in. At NCM Motorsports Park, I don't think that's a straight-cut decision. Would you rather be drivers right or drivers left for turn 1?
I think you'd rather be right purely just after 1A, 1B. It's kind of it's a corner. It's not much of one, but there is a corner to the right, so that will give you, hopefully you'll clear the overlap. Even if you don't clear the overlap, then you have a double right heading toward turn 5, which is another right. So if somebody on the left side somehow manages to stick around the outside the entire time, well, they deserve to be in front. But I feel like the clear space to pick is going to be on the right.
So if the leader chooses the right, the other driver on the front row, which will be Jeremy Swenson, will move to the other side of the racetrack. We're going to grid them up about 20 rows deep. We have a splitter that will tell them which side of the racetrack to go to. As soon as they come out of sync onto the front straight, they're going to rack up, stack up, bunch up, and they're going to get ready to go. Now, if anyone jumps
That's
a start,
look so cool.
Yeah, if anyone jumps a start, they will get black flag. Now, if a bunch of drivers mess up the start or not bunched up properly, the starters don't like it, they will make them go around again. They're going to wave off the start and try again. That will cut into our race time. So hopefully,
right. And the drivers definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to be the guy that is leaving like that cheater car length in front of you to try to get some kind of running thing, because the flagger won't wave the flag on that, and everybody on stream will see who did it. And you don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy. So I think we've got a C8 Corvette pace car for this race, which
Very fitting.
Which is really fitting,
Yes.
given that we're at the National Corvette Museum.
Ooh, it looks good.
Jeremy
too.
Boysen's Paragon C8 Corvette.
I love the wheels.
It is a great looking car, isn't it? And I was talking about this all by myself earlier on the Time Attack stream about the C8 versus C7 Corvette, and it was. I would say a divisive design in some ways, but the more I see it, the more it's grown on me.
Honestly, it just needed wheels. Look at that. Like compared to OEM, like that looks great.
It does look good, and we should get the field rolling off here in just a moment.
Look at all the people watching up in the rafters there.
That's so cool. And GLTC, the cool thing about this, DJ, is it really is spectator friendly. When you're here at the racetrack, now we don't have full-on spectators here at NCM Motorsports Park in terms of, there's no festival here this weekend, just basically a track event. But when we go to the festivals, Midwest and Alpine in Colorado, the amount of people that line up on the fence to watch GLTC is fascinatingly awesome.
I think what has something to do with that, though, is that this is the only wheel-to-wheel that's happening this weekend. It's instead of there being 4 different run groups, a million different classes, and like 3 people in each class, it's 40 cars in one class. It's condensed down, so every other participant and competitor, the Time Attack drivers, unless they're working on the car right now, they're somewhere on track watching that GLTC action. It's one of the highlights of the weekend.
So cars are now rolling onto the pit lane, and shortly we should get them lined up and ready to go racing. Again, it'll just be 1 pace lap and a 15-minute race, so a little bit behind schedule here this afternoon here at NCM Motorsports Park. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer here with DJ Alessandrini in the FCP Euro Race HQ. Lined up in the background, you see the highlighter yellow accents on Todd Cayley's car.
That car really sticks out.
It really does stick out, and like I said earlier in qualifying, if he finishes well today and tomorrow, he will be incentivized to come to spring kickoff at Gingerman, because he'll be real solid in the points. He comes into the weekend currently scored 7th in the point standings with 74 points. a little ways back from Luke McGrew leading. So as the field rolls off here, DJ, let's roll through the starting lineup. On row number 1, Andy Smedgard, the number 212. That's the ASM car alongside Jeremy Swenson's number 30 Corvette.
Yeah, row number 2, Luke McGrew and Aaron Lichty, who have already said that they're working together.
In row number 3, Todd Cayley out of St. Petersburg, Florida, the number 161. He starts 5th alongside Emil Tab, the number 14 and 6th.
And row 4, John Allen and Eric Catil.
Row number 5, Austin Hurdle, the number 34 370Z, and Rob Manicherry. He's fighting differential issues, said it's costing him about 8/10 a lap. He starts 10th.
Let's hope he can figure that out. All right, row 6, Chris Adams and Eric Meadows.
Andrew Rains starts in 13th in row number 7 alongside Joel Morrison. In the 14th spot, Eric Jensen and Marcus Luttrell in 15th and 16th. Jeff Preston, Scott Bowling, 17th and 18th. In row number 10, it's Ron Solomon and another ASM car alongside Bo Adams in the 986. Then Scott Robertson, Joshua Rubenstein, Jeremy Poison, Craig Moulton, Ryan Zupanchik, George Kustambartis, Dustin Barty, Tom O'Gorman will start in 28th. Then Nick Starter, Bill Griffin, Sean Smith, Freddie Asunkow, Yo Kutla, Max Lupfer, William Leahy, Wes Penn, and Dusty Michael. 37 cars.
That's a lot of cars to
lining up here. It sure is a whole lot of cars. As we get ready to go racing, we got to have one pace lap ready to go. And we're going to set them up double wide here, DJ, and we're going to turn them loose for 15 minutes. 37 cars will run down to turn 1. We already mentioned front row. We already mentioned where you're going to be if you're in 23rd. What if you're 37th? What do you do back there? Do you just kind of hang out and wait?
Well, you do what everybody should be doing. You just have a great time. Where you're qualifying right now, you're going to be near people your own pace. So really the goal should be, no matter where you are in the grid, and I know toward the front, sometimes you get a little lizard brain about it, but anywhere you are on the grid, that means those people around you are about the same speed as you. So just get ready for some fun racing. That should be the ultimate goal when you're out there.
And that's, I think, the lovely thing about GLTC. And Adam says this in every driver's meeting, that Roger Penske's not out here to sign you. So there's no real incentive to go out there and run your buddy off the racetrack. There's no incentive to do that. This is good, clean fun here in GLTC. We're racing for good hangs with our buddies. We're not here going for some trophy that's worth $1 trillion.
You won't see Formula One style racing where they get ran off the track because they didn't have like the inside of the corner or some dumb stuff like that.
Let's be honest, it happens, but it's not what we're here to do. And if you're running people off the racetrack,
it's not the goal. The goal is to have fun racing your car with people that have similar interests of you.
And I think what makes GLTC different is really there's no our competition director, one of us competition directors, Scott Giles, always talks about, I had his door down in turn 1. Well, no, you didn't. You hit him. So you got to have overlap established.
The other thing is if two cars make contact, it's almost always both of their faults.
Right. There's very rarely a situation in which you could have done nothing.
Right.
And I think that's
unless there's like a mechanical or something like that.
That's one of the things that GLTC's always done really, really well. And that's why we can run 37 cars at a track this narrow and this twisty. I'm very excited. We're not quite doubled up yet, but we will be shortly.
We're at turn 14 right now. You're going to see drivers making space on the left here. And then that turn 15, the drone does not do it justice. You can't see the other side of that turn. You are cresting the hill. The car gets light. The people with the wing on the back, they're just going to ride some understeer through that whole corner. But the cars without any kind of aero, it gets a little wild over that corner.
Very different setups from driver to driver. We've got 370Zs, Corvettes, we've got Miatas and Civics and everything in between here at NCM Motorsports Park for GRIDLIFE Grand Circuit. The first time ever after a year-long delay, finally racking up and stacking up for 15 minutes of racing. The pace car is going to peel off here in just a moment and going to leave the two front runners, Jeremy Swenson and Andy Smedgard, on the front row. They're going to take them all the way down to that green flag. They cannot go until the green flag waves. Once it does, everybody can go. There's no waiting until you get to the start-finish line. The green flag is out. It's race time.
Yeah, right now where you see the cars going through sinkhole, again, the drone does not do that elevation justice. They're literally probably bogging as they're driving up the hill on this long right-hander here. Now we're coming through the S's. You're going to start seeing everybody bunch up. And I expect a very late green flag just to give everybody a chance to bunch up right here. I think that's Adam.
Here we go. 37 cars here at GRIDLIFE Grand Circuit at NCM Motorsports Park. Andy Smedgard on pole position in the ASMS 2000. The field bunching up. And we're about ready to go racing, waiting for the green flag to fly. Too wide.
Very late
15
green
rows
flag.
deep, green flag flies, and we're racing at GRIDLIFE Grand Circuit at NCM Motorsports Park. Double wide, 3 wide mid-pack as they head down to turn 1. Swenson with the lead. Wow.
All right, so Swenson got it done here. Now he's got to hold off Andy Smedgaard for the rest of the race. I can't believe he cleared him by the end of turn 1. He must have had a great jump on the green flag.
That was a power move for Jeremy Swenson to move around Andy Smedgaard through turns 1A and 1B clean. Remember, no track limits in turn 1A. You can use all the racetrack there. Now out of turn 3 on the run up the hill, 3 wide behind him. Joel Morrison is getting split on the inside. I can't tell who that is, but they're almost squeezing each other. But up the front, Swenson pulling away. We knew he'd be strong, DJ, but that's an incredible start.
Yeah, he's going to be really strong in the beginning, again on street tires now, as those, and it's perfect conditions for street tires too. It's nice and cool, air temps are cool, it's going to keep the tires cool. What we'll see is toward the end of the race, Jeremy Swenson will start to be reeled back in by Andy Smedgaard.
Tom O'Gorman, big move up the inside. He's making waves against qualified 28th. We talked about the exhaust getting choked off. He removed one of those exhaust devices. He should have more pace here in this race. Some side-by-side behind him, but Swenson is free and clear. Todd Cayley is ahead. I think that's John Allen and Rob Manicherry that are door-to-door. Eric Meadows following them, so it's a pair of Duratec swapped Miatas following a case swapped Miata.
Right, and Lichty has gotten past McGrew and somewhere in the first half of the lap as well. Here we're running up into Deception there. A lot of passing opportunities are going to come out of Deception because there's it's very easy to make a mistake here. We see in the back there, I think that was Joel Morrison, kind of the cork in the bottle, as you say, coming out of Deception. We got 3 wide, heading up to 14. There's not a lot of room there. Now they're making a diamond.
Oh, that was really sketchy. 3 wide out of tabletop there. That's not something you can do very easily. Still double wide here as they crest up over the hill towards turn number 16.
2 wide and 15.
That's Scott Bowling there on the inside in the Porsche Cayman. He made that stick somehow.
Wes Penn just passed that darker, bigger car. Can't really see
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, he passed them around the outside in 15, so that takes a lot of guts. Kudos to him.
Eric Cattell over the back of Luke McGrew here now. The hybrid racing EG working its way up inside the top 5, setting its sights on McGrew, and also Aaron Lichty, which you mentioned jumped to 3rd in the early laps, but Swenson's going to be the leader the first time across the line.
Yeah, and Cattell also got around John Allen. I'm starting to think that maybe the outside around 1 does work, because if you think about a lot of the first couple rows, those drivers found themselves in front of the drivers they were next to. So maybe there's something in some dynamic there that I'm not quite understanding. Man, Swenson looked really good coming out of 1 there. Like, the car had a good slip angle. The entry there looks good.
But can it hold on for the entire duration of this race? 15 minutes is a long time for those tires to last in a car this heavy. It's 3,000 plus pounds, so that's a lot of weight on those tires. Look at Cattell. He just got by Luke McGrew. He's up into 4th place now. And here comes Emil Tab in the 14 winning Formula car. He's going to challenge McGrew now side by side.
Yeah, Cattell fighting Luke McGrew for that spot. Has separated that mini pack there of those 4 cars with Luke McGrew, Emil Tab, and Todd Cayley. Cattell on a charge, but now he has to go get Lichty. But while passing all those cars, he ran basically the same lap time as Aaron Lichty.
Todd Cayley now attacking Emil Tab. So Tab was on Luke McGrew, opened up the door to the inside. Cayley went for a pass, couldn't quite get it done as they sweep now through turn number 6 and down towards Deception.
Yeah, we're seeing the car starting to string out here. We saw a late dive on the brakes.
Oh, Swenson.
Oh, Swenson.
The race leader slow off to driver's right. Not sure what happened there, but he's back. Is he back under power now? It looks like it. So some momentary lapse in power. That's going to give the lead back to Andy Smedgaard. So the top runner, the race leader, slow. He lost a whole bunch of spots.
Yeah, that's a huge hiccup for Swenson there. He was looking in real good shape to win that race, but this, I mean, what this
car off? Is that still Swenson? I think it is.
Yeah.
Coming to a stop.
Is there fluid on the track here?
No,
that just looks like people running wide. That's people running wide.
Yeah,
okay.
But he's in a bad spot there, DJ.
Yeah, that's not a very good spot. I almost wish if he's under any kind of power at all, maybe just like get off forward and to the left.
Right, just get out of the way to the inside of a corner.
That's gonna have to be a caution. That's an awful spot for a car.
Right, we're still under green flag conditions now. We'll see if we get a full course yellow, which we can do here in GLTC. So far, though, the leader is going to turn over to Andy Smedgaard as the race leader dropped out. Lots of shuffling in the background behind him as we head off into sinkhole for the 2nd time in this race. And we'll see if Aaron Lichty can bring the fight to Andy Smedgaard. Lichty's the winningest driver in the series, 17 wins to his name.
The unfortunate thing with a car braking on the 2nd lap is the race 2 might grid by fastest lap, and everybody only got 1 lap. So we'll see when that yellow comes out. They might let everybody through and then pull the yellow so everybody gets at least 1 flying lap to set the grid for race 2.
Well, Andy Smedgaard just ran a 2:14.5, so that's by far the fastest we've seen. Across the line, second, Aaron Lichty. Third, Catil in the EG, or the Hybrid Racing EG. McGrew fourth, Tab fifth, Kaylee, Rains, Allen, and Manicherry, and Hurdle the rest of the top 10. There's Kaylee now approaching Emil Tab and McGrew. That would be a battle for fourth. Look at this fight behind Andrew Rains. He is the cork of the battle. The cat amongst the pigeons now is Austin Hurdle in the 34 car.
That's John Allen fighting him on his quarter panel there, but it kind of opened him up for attack with Rob Manicherry coming around the left side toward.
Oh, look at Hurdle. Here he comes up the inside, down toward. Oh, that's tight.
He's really out of the mirror there.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a good job from those drivers staying out of each other.
That was amazing. Hurdle still on inside into turn number 6 on the brakes late. Manicherry going to pull right in front of him, but he's through John Allen. That was a great pass there by Hurdle.
Yeah, that was real gutsy by Hurdle. And again, this is only his second race weekend as well. So Hurdle already showing some maturity and comfortability behind the wheel of that car.
Wow. So
yeah, we still have a good string of cars heading up toward 8, and then eventually, you know, Rains is definitely the cork in the bottle here. I think this is the fight of the racetrack, right? Oh, it looks like they're going a little slow.
This is just the tight corner down here at turn number 8. Now throttling back up, Andrew Rains leads the way. Behind him, Manicherry, who we said was fighting diff issues earlier. We're still green. We're still moving. I'm not sure if Swenson moved.
I don't see Swenson's car, but you can't really see anything after that corner, so curious to see if he's still there.
I think he's out of the way, or at least we would see a
I feel like we would see him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's out of the way, so we're good. We're staying.
Okay, cool. We're staying green.
So Andy Smedgaard, 6 minutes in, is leading the race, was the fastest driver last time by. Here is a battle for position. This is Joel Morrison.
Oh, you see how sideways he was over 15?
Yeah. Ron Solomon also chasing him down. That's a battle a little bit down the order. That's for 14th spot.
I just imagine his hands in the car must look like he was playing patty cake.
Catching it for sure. Across the line now, Smedgaard was a 2:14.5 last time by. Is it going to be an improvement? Is he driving away or getting caught? This time through, across the line at 2:14.6.
Slightly slower.
Lichty comes across line at 2:15.4, so still a little slower, or 2:15.2. So Smedgaard's lead is now 2.7 seconds, and Catil is closing in on Lichty for second.
I wonder if Catil and Lichty had a mistake, because even with all the fighting that Luke McGrew was going through with Emil Tab and Andrew Rains, he ran basically the same lap time.
17 wins for the driver at the right of your screen, 15 wins for the driver in the center of your screen, Eric Catil. And look at this battle behind Rains.
This is a great
Cherry,
scrap.
Hurdle, they're all having an absolute gunfight here for.
Oh, Hurdle runs a little wide, opening up the door for Manicherry. He's actually off the course right there. He's going to have drivers right into the right-hander Rob Manicherry is, and is this going to open up for John Allen to get in there as well? Oh, man, the motor of Austin Hurdle is just too much.
That car makes a whole bunch of power. He's going to slot in front of Manicherry. Now into the tight and twisty stuff. This is where Rob's car is going to come alive, but he was fighting a wheel spin with that car, so I think he's going to struggle here, maybe getting off the corner. But look at Hurdle moving forward consistently and now bringing the pressure to the back of Andrew Rains in 7th.
Yeah, all these drivers looking really good as we see them with slip through that corner. Turn 8, really fun corner. Man, this is so good. Andrew Rains is doing such a great job keeping all these cars behind him.
I was going to say, is that's Solomon in the back? He looked like Tom O'Gorman. Let's check in on Tom. He started way back in 28th, and I don't have him listed. He must have pulled off the racetrack. He's down in 34th, so I thought I saw Tom.
Completed a lap? It might be a transponder issue.
It could be. I haven't seen him lately.
I mean, we saw him lap 1, so unless he's sitting somewhere, right? Or he pulled directly into the pit lane.
That could be true.
Here's Wes Penn.
He had an off in qualifying, or at least pulled the car off, was powerless, but back on course now and running a race.
I couldn't find Wes Penn in the paddock, so I don't know what was going on with his car during qualifying, but he's made some moves.
Yeah, Wes Penn is up to 24th, up 7 spots from where he's
started.
Wow,
he's having a fun race. That's going to make a great YouTube video later.
It sure is. We're 9 minutes in and still got a handful of minutes to go. And across the line again, we'll see if Smedgaard continues to drive away. I see a really good fight starting to form.
I saw Catil getting passed by Emil.
Oh, interesting. Or at least close to it. Here they come across the line. Smedgaard 2:15.4, 2:15.3 for Lichty, so he's improving. And you're right, Emil Tab got by.
Yeah, now he's under attack from Todd Cayley heading into turn 1. I wonder what happened with Catil. A 2:20. Did he go off track? Let's see if we could see some grass in his grill there.
Yeah, he's definitely a little slower the last time by. I'm not sure if he had an off or just a slip. But Todd Cayley now from St. Petersburg, Florida, bringing the pressure to the back of the second winningest car in the series.
Yeah, Smedgaard looks like he's holding back a little bit, or maybe the car just can't run 14s all day. But him and Aaron Lichty just doing the same exact lap time, and they're class of the field. Everybody else is just picking up that last podium spot for the first race.
And look at John D. Allen in the number 33. That's usually Justin Lee's car, attacking Andrew Rains here on the run up to turns 5 and 6. A little kink to the left, now back to the right. That 33 is looking really good.
Yeah, and at some point Manicherry got by, which was during this lap, since they came across the timer last time with Andrew Rains out in front. So Manicherry getting it done somewhere in the first half of the lap, which is not an easy feat at all.
And here's the passenger position. This is Bill Griffin in the number 46. And behind him, I think this is 057. That is back looking for, that's Craig Moulton. This is for a battle for 23rd. We got battles for 3rd. We got battles for 23rd in GLTC.
Yeah,
Griffin hanging on to it for now.
All of them look equally as fun.
Absolutely. And there is the race leader, Andy Smedgaard, out front. Look at the gap he has built. There's Aaron Lichty, speeds climbing over 120 miles an hour, deep into the triple digits here, DJ. Then into the braking zone for turn number 17 through 20. And still, John D. Allen attacking and approaching the 719, or excuse me, yeah, I guess it is Andrew Rains out there.
Yeah, it's Andrew Rains, John D. Allen. Honestly, I think that's the battle to have on the track right now. Everybody else is like West Penn, he's just having his own drive right now. Yeah, he has to go quite a bit to catch Dustin in that 8th gen Honda Civic.
Yeah, there's
got
Bill
a nice
Griffin
little
again.
gaggle back here.
Yeah, Bill Griffin fighting again. That is Craig Moulton, Freddie Asunkow, and that's the VW you see in the 25th spot. White flag out now for Andy Smedgaard. In the race lead, he just ran a 2:14.4. That's the quickest lap we've seen today. Lichty a 2:16.4. So Smedgaard is the class's field here. 3rd place now is Luke McGrew, who is the points leader. Now think about the point situation here, DJ. We're carrying points all the way through the year, and Luke McGrew comes in leading by a healthy margin and is sitting on a podium spot right now.
Yeah, and there are drop races, so just having strong, consistent finishes will definitely come in your favor toward the end of the year when those drop races come into play.
There's the 719, a little bit wide there on the exit, and here comes John D. Allen. He's been flogging the rear tailpipes of the 719 and hasn't figured out how to get by him. He's got 1 lap left to do it.
Yeah, this is the last lap to do it. Coming out of turn 3 right now, they're going to be going toward turn 5. It looks like John has a little bit of a run, but that camera angle shows us that he's just too far back to actually make anything happen here. He's going to have to get him out of deception.
Punching a hole in the air. That 1997 BMW M3 is a big car in relation to the NC Miata tucked in behind him, so maybe a slipstream in some of the faster portions could help him get closer. John D. Allen is no slouch in an NC Miata. This is a comfortable chassis for him, and he's right there.
Right, and also John's no slouch at NCM as well. He has the track record here for Spec Miata. So John has turned quite a few laps here at NCM, but I mean, Andrew Rains dealing with the pressure very well. All right, back to the Bill Turner and Moulton battle.
Yeah, Bill Griffin lost that spot to Moulton, and again, there's that 33 on the back of the 719.
Here's the hairpin.
He wants it so bad,
right.
But it's just getting the run and getting an overlap. It's so tricky to do.
So the next right-hander in their lap is Deception. If he was going to pass him, it would definitely be there.
Now sweeping through the fast and tricky stuff. There is Deception, the right-hander over the crest.
You can see the specs in the distance. John Allen is there, but I don't know if he's going to be close enough to make anything happen. He won't have him in 15, but he might be able to get him in 16. It'll be real tough, though. You almost need a mistake out of Andrew Rains for John Allen to get anything done.
It's hard to pass on that end of the racetrack, that's for sure. But heading into sinkhole for the final time, and coming out of it now is Andy Smedgaard out of ASM, a brand new build across the line, checkered flag waving. Andy Smedgaard wins race 1 of GLTC at GRIDLIFE Grand Circuit at NCM Motorsports Park. He gets it done. Aaron Lichty going to come home 2nd. It'll be another podium to add to the list for him. Luke McGrew, points leader, brings it home 3rd.
Yeah, and Andy he puts the period at the end of the sentence with 2:13.7. All right, where's Andrew Rains and oh, there they are.
There they are, coming out of the final corner. Going to be drag race back to the stripe. I think Rains is going to hang on to it. Not sure Allen could get the run.
No, but he's
right there. Right there to the line. Rains is going to get him by a car length. That was awesome stuff.
That had to be fun. They're going to be laughing about that after this race.
Eric Jensen in that black and red FRS, that has an LS3 in it, I believe, comes across the line in 11th. Good run for him.
You know, anytime you have a car that's that much of a project, I'm sure fitting a V8 into a engine bay that normally had a flat 4 is a huge feat. whoever put that car together, whether it was him or somebody else, they did a great job for that thing to be a reliable race car, Kyle.
Yeah,
not just a car, it's a race car.
Probably under stress a little bit, I'd imagine. That
race
engine
cars
is
just
very-
break themselves when you look at them weird, and that one just completed a race with a V8 in it.
Well, that was a spectacular race. Some really good mid-pack battles there. Andy Smedgaard, though, wow. What a drive by the ASM number 212. This is, again, a new car that has only seen a race once this year. That was back at Barber, not in GRIDLIFE. So this is his first GRIDLIFE event and goes right out of the gate and wins. Aaron Lichty has won 17 races. This is not going to add to that list. Second place. But and Andy Smedgaard, he'll be starting on pole tomorrow as well because he ran the fastest lap of the day.
Yeah, and looking at the lap times, I'm wondering if people who weren't really fighting for position kind of lifted off a little bit, because you generally do use the same tires the whole weekend. So if if you give it a couple easy laps, then you might have more life of those tires at the end of the weekend, and it looks like Aaron Lichty was definitely doing that.
So sorting by best lap, and this will give us our tentative starting grid for tomorrow. Eric Till is actually going to be the driver that would line up on the outside of the front row. Then it would be Aaron Lichty, McGrew, and Emil Tab, the rest of the top 5. Todd Cayley, Hurdle, Manicherry, John D. Allen be the rest of the top 10. And we've got to give a shout out to Todd Cayley, top 5. That's a great run for him.
Yeah, and Todd had a lot of racing that race as well. You know, it's a 15-minute race, but he got a whole race worth of racing in just that short amount of time. Yeah, Kyle, that was fun to watch. A little surprised how much Andy drove away, but I think a lot of that has to do with Jeremy Swenson having reliability issues.
Yeah, I think Swenson, we're going to go and find out what happened to him, but he was fighting similar looking issues at Circuit of the Americas, so hopefully he can find some reliability in that car because he's really, really quick, and it's certainly no slouch. But looking at our race results one more time, the Falken race results, Andy Smedgaard in the 212 is your race winner, then Aaron Lichty, Luke McGrew, Emil Tab, Todd Cayley, your top 5, then Erica Till, Austin Hurdle, Rob Manicherry, Andrew Raines, John Allen, going to wrap up the rest of your top 10. And that's going to conclude our first race of the weekend here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup here, DJ.
Now, I'm curious where Swenson ended up on best lap, because he did get to complete at least one lap, so he won't be starting in last, thankfully for him. But I'm wondering what kind of race 2 he's going to have if he can solve whatever issue he was having.
He doesn't actually have a lap recorded, which is interesting.
Huh, he did definitely he completed the first lap. I wonder
Right.
if that one wasn't counting for some reason.
Yeah, very, very strange indeed. Well, with that first race out of the way, that was absolutely spectacular. We'd like to thank the partners and people that make this possible here at the GRIDLIFE Grand Circuit event weekend. The GRIDLIFE GLTC 2121 sponsors, FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. Falken Tires, competitive, proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. Hawk Brakes, race proven, street legal. And Valvoline VR1, available at Advanced Auto Parts stores. Kyle Hire with DJ Alessandrini will be signing off and turning this over to Abe and Adam, and we'll be moving on to race 2 tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later.
Hey, we still on this weekend for a little...
I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting the wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
The Falken Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast's choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenas RT660.
The next generation of auto detailing is here, where simplicity meets performance. 303 Graphene Nanospray Coating. Get a year of protection from a powerful graphene oxide formula. A formula that sends water flying off surfaces, keeping water spots at bay. Go beyond wax, beyond ceramic. Graphene Nanospray Coating from 303.
Welcome back to Grid Life Live. We are at NCM Motorsports Park for Session 3 on Saturday of TrackBattle Time Attack, getting ready for Group A. This is Abram Schmucker here with my friend and co-host for the afternoon, Adam Nielsen.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
How are you doing today?
Not too bad. It's my first session broadcasting today. Happy to be here. And it looks like the weather is pretty favorable today for fast times. Cool weather, not a whole bunch of sunshine, but a nice time to be out on track.
It was wet this morning for a while, although I don't know that the track was too bad. But I think it's dried out pretty well. So
we saw, I think, times improve between Heat 1 and Heat 2. And I talked to a couple of drivers in the paddock before this session here, and many were saying that they expected to go quite a bit faster here, where they were just getting things dialed in Session 2, and really looking forward to turning things up here.
I know this morning when we had the drivers meeting, I was kind of watching things, and it was asked, like, how many of you is this your first time being here? And quite a few hands went up. So this is not an easy track to learn quickly, and so I'm sure as sessions go, times will fall.
Well, and it's a really long course, and it's one that takes a lot of time to learn and really get comfortable and get fast at. And so if you compare this track to a lot of the others that we've driven on throughout our season, lap times 2+ minutes are not typical. And so some of these cars that are really high strung might struggle with reliability running that hard for that long. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very long lap. There's no doubt about that. Cooling is going to be an issue. Overcooking tires is going to be an issue. Thankfully, it's not too hot today, so those problems hopefully won't be as bad as they could be, you know, if it was 90 degrees and the sun was shining. But it's still a thing you got to think about for sure.
Yeah, so as cars roll out here, talk to me a little bit about what you think the best setup is on a lot of these tires that are 200 tread wear. I mean, you're probably playing this balance between grip and weight and things like that. If you're a driver going out on a competitive tire, are you looking forward to just going as fast as possible on lap 1, or do you think that you'll have to kind of manage and try and get tires up to temperature?
Well, I think, you know, with such a long course, you're going to have a pretty decent length warm-up lap. And so I think, you know, your best chance is probably just get out there, be a little bit aggressive on your warm-up lap, and just see what you can do right away.
So we see here from the drone shot, we've got Jimmy Rauch up in the lead spot in the GT2 RS, who has personally improved a lot in his driving in the last couple of years. Been coming to Grid Life and, you know, been pretty consistent, but I think everyone knows the potential that's available in that car, and we're starting to see him as a driver really start to take advantage of that capability. And he ran a 2:08, I think, in session 2, which is a really impressive time, and actually bested Jackie Ding here in that car.
Yeah. I saw that car earlier today. It's got, like, you know, the Laguna pipe style thing sticking out the back. So he's having to be a little careful and watch that that noise limit.
And so right behind Jackie Ding is Alex Moss, who is debuting a DCT gearbox in his car for this event, which I think they're still kind of working to dial in and get everything perfected. But he ran, I think, a 2:11 in session 2, which is a really impressive time.
Yeah, easily one of the most hotly debated things that happened on the off season this year.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because, you know, it was one of those things that is legal, was always legal,
yep.
and only recently does someone decide that they had enough interest to go do it.
Yeah, I see both sides of the argument. I don't have any skin in the game, so I just stayed out of it. But it's still cool to see the advancement and the development on a car and a chassis as old as the S2000 is getting to be.
Well, it's interesting because the car is relatively lightweight, and the amount of horsepower that he makes is probably 2 to 3 times what it did from the factory, and so
right.
they're kind of over-engineering this car in order to get the speed out of it. And it's really impressive because you kind of have to do that to be able to keep pace with someone like Jackie Ding in a modern car.
Yeah, it's largely S2000 and shell at this point. There's not much S2000 left beyond that. So
we got cars now coming across, starting their hot lap. We see Jimmy here on screen. It's an absolutely beautiful car. Hopefully we get to see a little bit of the tail end of that car because it's just so unusual to see those Laguna pipes.
I love it. Sometimes it's funny, the creativity, and you know, it could be hacked together and whatnot, but his look really well done. Like,
well,
they're
and they probably didn't come through that great on camera, but they these pipes coming out of the tail end of the factory exhaust in this car have to be like 12 or 18 inches long. They're really strange looking.
Yeah. So we had a car sitting on the side of the road there. Hopefully that's not too much of an issue, the Corvette.
So I'm curious to see if Jackie is trying to keep pace with the Porsche here,
Sure
because you'd be kind of surprised if he thought he was faster. Maybe he would drop back a little bit to give himself some running room.
Yeah.
But that car is kind of fresh off of a really high-profile win at Circuit of the Americas, the Super Lap Battle.
Incredible lap
where he
Jackie
ran
there.
very, very fast in the street class.
Incredibly fast.
I think at that time it was a 2:17.
Oh,
it was a
gosh,
remarkable time at
I want to
Coda.
say, yeah, it was in that range. So what an event.
Well, and we see Jimmy kind of stretching a little bit here on the back straight. I think a testament to the horsepower of the Porsche.
The Supra is no slouch in that area anymore either, but the Porsche probably has him a little bit. So
I think Jackie said that the dyno jet number on that car was something around 640. It's a big number.
I'm terrible with numbers, and so you're not going to catch me quoting anything without looking it up first. So
few cars making their way around the circuit here. Cars coming through the final set of chicanes, and got one car back in here, back into the grid.
Lots of Club TR cars here this weekend. The new Grid Life Time Attack class.
Yeah, we were really, really excited to develop and debut that class because we thought it kind of filled a void that existed in the Time Attack community, where a lot of these really classic track day cars really don't have a good place to run.
Yeah.
And this kind of lent itself very well to this new class.
Oh, look at that. Time's coming up. Jackie Ding with a 2:08.4. That's the fastest lap we've seen this weekend.
So let's see, what else?
Jimmy, another 2:08. Dan Foley, the Wild Evo 10, a 209.6. Quite the time.
Team Twitch is driver Brandon Renvek running a 215. I talked to him in the paddock right before this session and told him he needs to get down into those 212s range.
Yeah, somewhere in the GLTC range.
But he's been making changes to that car. It's a really simple formula. The Team Twitch car is an E36 M3 with an E46 M3 S54 swap.
Is he still running street this year?
He is.
Didn't change anything?
That car is very capable, and it's super reliable. And the amazing thing about it is, unlike his other time attack car, he gets out of the driver's seat every single time with the biggest smile on his face. Just loves driving that BMW.
Yeah, it's certainly less problematic than his Evo.
And I would say that his Evo build is absolutely world class.
Oh, absolutely. But those higher strung cars just lend themselves toward
it just takes more.
Difficult.
And so according to track official Matt Busby, he believes that Jackie Ding is now the official 200 treadwear tire record holder at NCM Motorsports
That's impressive.
Park. So congratulations to Jackie Ding and PhD Racing.
That's awesome.
And thanks to Busby for sending those real-time tips. Let's see. What else do we have here happen on track? Alex Moss not yet improving with a 212, 342. Nick Gardner running I think it's a GT500.
Okay.
Is decently quick in a 214, let's see, 541. And Josh Halka, I think, improving still with a 217. He was here testing a couple of weeks ago, and I think ran a personal best 218. So it's an improvement for him.
Good.
See, Ben Lynn is back on track. Actually, I think that might be Ben Lynn right there on screen. He is one of the Bens from Gears and Gasoline and has been featuring, building up this car to compete again this year in GRIDLIFE TrackBattle.
What class is he running that in?
He would be in street class. And it looks like we've got a black flag on track, which is probably because of that Evo, and we'll probably bring this session to a slowdown back into the pits, and then maybe get started for a minute after they clean up the track.
Hopefully that's not a sound violation, because it was, I mean, hard to see from here, but it may have been just being waved directly at Halka there. So no, they still seem to be waving it.
So I imagine that's a black flag all. It looks like Ben Lynn is off track, so hopefully nothing major mechanically. I know that the engine in that car is fresh, and it made quite a bit of horsepower for a stock turbo Evo. So hope that car is all right. Someone that I'm really looking forward to talk to on the Slip Angle podcast is Patrick Doherty, who has a Civic Type R that goes really quick.
Yes.
And I want to nerd out about Civic Type Rs on the Slip Angle show.
I think you just need to buy one already.
I think I do, but I don't have a job.
Well, okay, that is an important step towards car ownership. I'll give you that. But I think I can safely say for a lot of us, so we're tired of hearing you talk about it. You just need to pull the trigger already.
Well, I'm very fortunate that my wife is relenting and at least will, if she doesn't endorse this.
It's a slow battle, right? Right? You just got to work her down over time.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, I have a daughter, and she's now, I guess, almost 10 months old, and I told my wife that I wanted to buy a car that I could give my daughter when she's old enough to drive.
I mean, that's quite the car for a first car, I suppose.
Well, but at that time, it'll be 16 years old.
I mean, sure, but it's still going to be quite the potent car.
Maybe not in the future. Maybe every car will have 500 horsepower.
I mean, by the time she's 16, they might all be electric, too.
That's true.
If things keep going the way they seem to.
So we've got safety crews rolling out on track. I imagine giving Ben a tow here, bring him back into the paddock. But maybe it looks like he's driving now, so who knows. A little bit of cleanup here on track.
A little debris of some sort. They have quite the setup, the safety crew here. Earlier this morning, they were running around with a jet blower, drying the track off.
Nice.
I mean, they definitely have the pro track level setups here.
Well, it's a little different than running around with like 50 guys with brooms pushing stuff.
Yeah, it's not, it's kind of a club track, but at the same time, it's kind of not.
Well, I really like driving here. I've been here 4 or 5 times to drive myself, and I really enjoy it. And it's a place that is really tricky to be fast, but it's rewarding, I think, all the same.
First time I've been here, first time any of my buddies that I came with have been here either. And, you know, first impressions coming off the track is, holy cow, first of all, you know. And secondly, chances are they're not going to be going as fast as they could by the end of the weekend. It's such a long course. 23 corners is a lot to memorize in a handful of sessions through a weekend.
Absolutely. And there are a couple of high-speed corners, which I say sometimes I guess the nice way to say it is that the high-speed ones give me the willies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple here that just give me the willies. And
yeah,
if you can be fast through there, you can be fast.
Yeah. I've noticed as I was kind of watching some of the sessions earlier from the observation deck, Deception certainly has earned its name. A lot of people come through there way too fast.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of pushing through that corner, I noticed. And I wish I could see the sinkhole a little better from any of the viewing areas. That looks like quite the elevation change.
It is. What I can say is I've been in the passenger seat in a rear-wheel drive car, and then I've driven in my Evo at the time. And the experience is very different because in a rear-wheel drive car, you really have to modulate the throttle to keep the tail in check. And in the Evo, conversely, it's just like, you know, just throttle it. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Steering out.
So it is different though, because as you come around Deception and then start to make that left-hander, the amount of speed that you can carry through the next set of corners is actually not very much. It's a really, really low speed corner.
Yeah. So, and there's not a lot of time where you're not doing something with the steering wheel on this course, it seems.
Yeah, and it's a track that, you know, it's hard to say that any track is a horsepower track or not.
Right.
But it does seem like this track, you know, horsepower cars will have an advantage, but on this track there aren't that many straights that really reward pure horsepower.
Right.
So that, I'm looking far at the screen here, but that does look like Ben Lynn. I'm disappointed that he's not had a good session here. I hope the car's all right.
Yeah, having the full-on tow truck and not just being able to flat tow out is definitely not a good sign.
So shout out to the safety crew getting cars back onto the grid safely. We really appreciate them, and we hope that this is a quick pull back into the paddock.
Absolutely.
So other drivers new to Grid Life this year, an old friend of mine from Dayton, Ohio, Adam Ulrich, is in the Grid Life track battle field this year with a street mod prepped Corvette. And interesting, he and I talked about Corvettes for a while, and street mod is an unusual place for a Corvette to typically go, because if you are an owner of a Corvette and you're into autocross or you're doing, you know, some track day stuff, the first thing you would do, it's always going to be under tired. And so people think that the switch to a 285 is unusual and weird, and they're not interested. And so that's why we typically don't see a lot of Corvettes in street mod. But
yeah, they skip straight to track mod.
Almost always. But we've got a lot of really, really serious competition in track mod this year. So street mod's actually a better place for them in terms of performance potential and power and everything else. Street mod this year is a very, very competitive class, and it's going to be really rewarding to do well.
A good friend of mine who I'm here with this weekend is normally here with his track mod Corvette, and he's kind of in that situation where his car's certainly not anywhere close to prepared to the limit of the rules of that class, but like you said, he just kind of gets lumped in there because of his tire size and stuff like that. And so the car's slowly been evolving and turning into more of a potent vehicle, but it's certainly far from the limits of the class.
Yep. And we've started to see track mod really develop into what it has been the whole time. There really haven't been that many rule changes to accommodate additional pace in that class. The rules have, for a while, been very open, and only recently have a few drivers started to take advantage and kind of, I don't want to say like think outside the box, but like really kind of
get to the limits of the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, previously for the last several years, the fastest cars were, you know, naturally aspirated 600 horsepower Corvettes, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's not that crazy for time attack.
It's not even that crazy for Corvettes.
Right. So like you know, there are cars running nationally competitive in series kind of all over the place that are, you know, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 horsepower cars. And so this is the place that they would typically run.
Right. It's an interesting class. It's kind of, you know, street tire unlimited.
Yeah,
almost.
It kind of is.
Not quite. There's a little few aero restrictions that unlimited doesn't have, but for the most part, and it's always been kind of interesting to me. I don't know that I would build a car like that. If I was going to build all the aero and all the power and stuff like that, I think I'd just go to unlimited.
Well, yes and no, because I think there are other series globally that, like, you know, try and do stuff with a kind of a streetish tire.
Right.
And so there's something to be said about that. I think it's cool.
Optima and
yep.
and
so
like that.
Excellent drone shot of the Evo running in reverse there. Broken wheel for Ben. So
oh no, that's
there could be worse.
Certainly less the tragic than it could have been.
So
these drone shots are just so fun.
So for anyone appreciating the real-time updates, we thank Matt Busby for texting me what's going on track. So we really appreciate you. I'm really digging these drone shots. This is so cool.
So, of course, Chevy vehicles.
Of course.
At NCM, of course, for the safety crews.
So, what else? We're happy to see Chris Bickford back out running a 217. I think that he's in Street GT class this year.
I haven't.
Or
had
no,
a chance
he's
to
in
look
Street
at this.
class because I think he's running his 370Z.
Oh, okay.
Which is a decently quick time, I think.
Yeah.
All right, we got cars rolling back out on track now. It looks like the continuation of Group A. So it'll be just another couple of minutes to have these cars do a warm-up lap, and then we start timing again. And from your view on screen, it kind of looks like it's going to rain, but out here, the weather, I think, looks okay.
It's warmed up a little bit, enough that I don't need a sweatshirt anymore. But I suppose my Iowa living maybe helps that a little bit.
But you're not the Iowa man.
No, not quite the Iowa man. He's in the next session, so.
So I do want to throw a shout out to the original Iowa man who recently bought the giant Jabay checkered flag from the GRIDLIFE website.
Yes.
If you're interested in the most outrageous Adam Jabay sticker that you can put on your vehicle, they are for sale on, I think it's shop.grid.life, something like that. They're kind of spectacular.
While you're there.
And be that silly person in the paddock with a sticker on the back of your trailer.
The thing that we found most impressive about the sticker is the incredible resolution. Adam was chewing spearmint gum that day. That's how good that sticker's resolution is.
Is the trailer
impressive.
here today?
It is. We're parked out in the back 40 because it's the world's largest rig, but it is here. So I slept in it last night. Turns out the roof leaks and it dripped on me, so it was great.
It's a camping weekend at GRIDLIFE.
It's just not a GRIDLIFE weekend if the weather's not. If the weather was perfect, it wouldn't be GRIDLIFE.
That's true. So rolling back around here, drivers kind of keeping their paces and hopefully keeping a little bit of distance. This is a really long track, plenty of room to spread out and not be hampered by anyone else on the circuit with you.
Yeah, I know in the drivers meeting they were talking roughly 30 cars per heat if everybody shows up, which sounds like a lot. But it's a 3.2-mile course, and which means there's ample space for that many cars.
Yeah, it's deceptively long too, because if you look at the footprint overhead,
it folds in on itself so many times.
But there's lots of room to run here.
In the Facebook Live show with Andrew Rains and Matt Busby that they did earlier this week, kind of breaking down the course and trying to help people through it. They mentioned that there are places where the track is only 40 foot away from itself, that it's folded that closely together, which is kind of wild to think about because that's not that far apart.
No, it's really not.
Walls have got to be close to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and, you see some interesting angles here. And what is interesting is I can see the interstate from here. That's I-65.
Yeah.
But when you drive I-65, you almost can't see the circuit. It's really weird. It's like
that's true. So mechanical racing advantage. Miata there on screen. What a wild-looking little car.
Yeah, it's kind of an example of like what you can do with aerodynamic performance without having the craziest like motor build that exists.
I mean, it's still a turboed K. I mean, it's not.
But it's not that crazy.
No, it's not the wildest thing
Like,
in the world, but it's still
weird, right? Because we get so used to the absolute insanity of time attack that anything that's like not insane is just like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah, such a cool little car. It doesn't seem that they brought the Subaru with them this weekend. That's usually a 2-car team. But yeah, such a cool little car. I love that it's very home built, and you know that to me is what's so cool about time attack.
So if we want to nerd out about turbochargers for just a second, we can talk about insanity.
We can try.
So in like a standard road car, a large flow turbo in like a 2-liter might be 40 pounds a minute-ish.
Right.
On my Evo, when I was running it, the upgraded turbo was about 60 pounds a minute, which I thought at the time was giant. But what's funny is like time attack now, a 60-pound-a-minute turbo, that'd be pretty small.
Yeah.
Like the guys who are making serious power are much bigger than that.
Oh, I'm sure. Cars like Ferris's Corvette, I'm sure they're well over that.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got 2 of them. So.
What's going on here?
I don't know. It looks like we're kind of moving slow here. This is pit in even, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I wonder
They
if
sent him back out, but it looks like either they...
I wonder if they just made a lap to get out of pit lane.
It could be, yeah.
So.
But we saw drivers take a couple of hot laps and put some good times down. Jackie Ding obviously taking fast time for the session and what we think is the 200 treadwear record, so congratulations to that. And we're looking forward to Group B rolling out on track.
I know a few years ago, my co-host on the podcast I do, he came here for time trial nationals with the SCCA, and he said one of the difficult parts about coming to this event or coming to this track with a 20-minute session, if you blow a lap or anything like that, or even the warm-up lap, to get back around to start your next timed lap is such a long period of time that realistically you can only get maybe 2 flyers if everything goes perfectly.
Yep.
And that creates a very difficult situation to put down real good.
Yeah, it's kind of a make it count scenario, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the lead cars out here in session 2 is Jason Owens, I think, or it could be Jimmy Diggs.
Could be.
Who is Jackie Ding's alter ego, who's driving a 10th gen Civic in Club TR.
Yes.
And as we were crafting the rules around Club TR, that was the car that we were expecting would be the one that would be most capable of making horsepower, but probably also had the most weight from the factory. So we thought that it would have the potential to compete directly with S2000s and BRZs.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he's your Club TR leader right now. So.
And some of that I'm sure is good driving, but
well, it doesn't hurt now that. So I saw that it was Diggs on the time cards earlier, and I thought, okay, I don't know who that is, but all right. Now that I know, it kind of clicks. So.
I think he did a YouTube video on that car this week.
Okay.
And said that the tune on it is right. The car's it is kind of put together in ways that had been much better than in the past, and I expect that in Club TR this will be a solid car for any person who's interested in running.
Right.
So that 10th gen Civic, this car is probably around 250 horsepower or so.
Is that a Type R then?
No, it's a Civic SI.
An SI, okay.
So 10th gen Civic SI was one of those, well, this is about as much horsepower as we would want you to make.
The Type R wouldn't fit in the class,
Too much.
would it? I didn't think about that. Too big an engine with the turbo on it, so.
So cars rolling through here. Looks like Devin Hoffman rolling around here in her IAG Subaru WRX STI. Could be suffering a mechanical here, rolling off track a little bit there.
Off track there, strangely. So hope everything's okay there. What a beautiful place.
long warm-up lap here.
Yeah,
if laps at pace are 2:10 or so,
yeah.
Warm-up lap probably like 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
That there, one of my favorite cars, that
Mustang.
Fox body Mustang.
Yeah.
A GRIDLIFE regular, one of my favorites. Just cool to see some old American muscle being thrown away or thrown around like that. Thrown away is not the word I was looking for. Thrown around. How about that? So looks like we're starting to get guys crossing the start-finish for their first flyers.
And driver in second position, Nick Kors, is in an 8th gen Civic Si that I believe is turbocharged.
Okay.
He's a one lap of America driver, really solid build car, really cool to see. Not a whole lot of fast front-wheel drive cars in Street Mod,
Yeah.
so it's exciting to see someone else show up.
Got both the Corvettes from the Mullet Racing crew out there today. Not sure who would be in the Mullet Racing car right now, whether it be Ron or Ryan Finch. But that's a supercharged Track Mod C5. So
Big changes this offseason.
New build for this year, yeah.
It's always nice when a plan comes together, but it's scary too when you come out to the first event hoping everything goes right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So this is a big session. I believe this run group is something like 30 to 35 cars, but getting a little loose there in that C8 Corvette.
I believe that's a Paragon Performance car from my hometown. Well, not hometown, but the town I'm in, Des Moines, Iowa. So
is that? Do you know if that's Graham Gaylord or?
I'm not
Jeremy
sure if
driving?
it's Graham or if it's Jeremy Boyson, but I think that's their car, at least. So
I will say that the C8 in white looks very good.
So
Very racy.
there's like 200 of them parked in the back here.
Okay.
And we're kind of looking through them yesterday. They make them in yellow, which I'm a real sucker for. I love yellow cars.
Okay.
Oh man,
I think they're very good looking.
so good.
Let's see what other news we got here. You can always tell when an Evo rolls through.
Yeah, they're very distinct, aren't they?
So we should be seeing some cars coming through here. Jimmy coming by here in just a second. 2:19.0, which is a really fast time for Club TR.
Yeah, a very fast.
Really fast time.
TR, absolutely.
Looks like Jimmy Diggs is 2:20.7. My mistake. Nick Kors with a 2:19.037, leader of the session so far. It looks like Jacob Budenauer, 2:27.225, listener of Slip Angle and purchaser of one of the Speed Academy S2000s.
Oh, okay.
That car was featured on a Speed Academy build a while back.
So he's running Club TR this weekend.
That's right.
Well,
Yep. So it's
it'd be
exciting
interesting to own such a high-profile car like that, you know?
Yeah, I don't think this car was. I don't think its brand recognition was being nice. I think its brand recognition was being crappy.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but sometimes it's kind of annoying to own a famous car that you didn't make famous. I can speak to that locally. The car I own is very famous locally, and that's Bart's car. Like, no, it's not
it's my
anymore.
car.
It hasn't been his car for 10 years, but okay. So it can be frustrating. So
lots of fast times here. Several in the 2:19s, a few in the 2:20s. Some, I think, new drivers to GRIDLIFE here as well. Some names that I haven't seen before.
Lots of new names, which is awesome. So that 240 is such a gorgeous car.
It's really, really good looking.
My understanding is it's largely Corvette underneath.
Is that right?
That's what I understand. I was sitting by the Holly tent earlier today. Quite the machine.
So, tell me about what you see. What are your kind of key predictions for the rest of the weekend as we've seen the first few sessions unfold, and then where do you expect the season to go?
Well, I think times are going to be dramatically faster tomorrow, assuming the weather is similar or holds out. As people get more and more comfortable with this, I think that's, there's lots of new people, lots of new builds, just shaking the cobwebs off. So I think times are going to drop quite a bit tomorrow, I think, for here. As the season, I mean, it's hard to say. Time attack is so unpredictable because it's as much luck as it is prep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the tricky part is, some drivers will be content to put a car together and just try and run what they can for the season.
Right.
And other drivers have this almost compulsion to, after every single event, go back into the garage and say, what can we do differently? How can we get faster?
Yeah. One thing about this particular weekend is that, there's a handful of the real pointy end grid life regulars that are here, but not a lot of them, and so those guys, they tend to just show up at some of the more high profile events, and if they don't do well at those events, they might not do well overall in the season.
Yeah, that's absolutely
Whereas people
true.
who show up at more events might end up doing well.
And so we could talk a little bit about how the season points work in Grid Life Time Attack. But for the last several years, the way points have worked is you get points for finishing first, and then for every 1/10 of a second that you are slower than the class winner, you get one less point.
Right.
And so there is actually benefit to going to events that may have weaker competition,
Right.
because you almost guarantee closer to that 100-point finish. But the tricky part is that if you only go to a high-profile event where the competition is best, you do get the challenge of competing with elite competition. But if something doesn't go right, you almost necessarily throw yourself way down at the bottom of the leaderboards in terms of points.
Time attack is interesting from a competitor standpoint because there are a lot of people in this that don't necessarily care about season points or even overall wins at individual events. All they're concerned about is lap records.
It's true.
And so a track like NCM that doesn't have a lot of time attack events, doesn't have a lot of records, isn't a high profile track like Gingerman has become, Button Willow is, even Circuit of the Americas now, has less appeal to some of these teams that's what they're focused on.
Yeah, and I think when people think about NCM, one thing that they can't really forget is that there is some amount of sound restriction here, and I think that makes some drivers nervous. But what we've seen this weekend is that practically, for the most part, it's not been a problem.
I'll make the unpopular statement. I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either.
I don't know that. I appreciate race cars are to be a little louder than street cars. I get that. But I'm not convinced they need to be as loud as they are.
I will say something unpopular on the broadcast as well. I think a K-Series sounds better with a muffler than it does without.
VQs and inline 6 BMWs, I feel strongly the same. So
I think maybe it's just us getting old, and the young kids should probably get off our lawn.
Older. That's absolutely true.
So Nick Kors improving quite a bit,
actually.
2:16.4, which is an impressive time for a car that just recently got back together, fresh build, and street mod front wheel drive.
I would love to see more front wheel drive street mod cars.
Me too, actually. And I don't know that the 8th gen Civic is the car if you were going to put forth that serious street mod effort.
I think we've seen lots of wickedly fast 8th gens.
It's true. They're decently light.
There's a number of overall track records for Grid Life that are held by an 8th gen Civic.
That's true.
So
I think technically that might be a 9th gen.
Oh, is it? Is Will's a 9th gen?
It might be a 9th gen.
Gosh.
So Will, if you're watching, text me and let me know that I'm wrong.
Sorry, I'm not a Honda expert by any stretch.
But I also think that there's probably a Civic Type R that could be built to run very competitively in street mod.
In street mod?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Honda. So one of the challenges with a modern car is figuring out the fuel system because of the direct injection. And a few companies have worked out how to make those cars more readily use E85 and the benefit that you would get from a larger turbocharger. So if you get that worked out, I think the engine is plenty potent.
Right.
So Nick Kors here on track, looking to improve on his previously best time. So we've got time shifting around a little bit here on screen. I'm going to pull it up on Race Hero and just double check. Yeah, best time here for Nick Kors was a 2:16.4.
2:16. Wow.
Jimmy Diggs' best time is a 2:20.758. Mullet Racing with a 2:19.064. So congratulations to him.
Absolutely. I think you know, any sub 220 is nothing to shake a stick at.
It's fast.
Yeah. Just in general.
Yeah. No, it's fast.
You know, every track has that like barrier of times that like, okay, you're doing pretty good. Holy cow, that's really impressive, you know. And I think the 220s, sub 220s is that mark where you clearly know what you're doing.
So we don't have to beat a dead horse, but we can talk about Gingerman for a second, where practically a 140 lap time at Gingerman is accessible in a lot of cars.
Right.
But you have to drive pretty well to get there.
Absolutely.
And so I think I would agree that 220 is probably a similar benchmark at NCM.
Right.
So that is, who is that?
It's a beautiful car.
It could be Dana Baczynski 109. That's an ASM built car. K-swap.
Is that the K-swap?
Yep. A86. I'm told that Dana's quite a driver, so we'll look for him to improve throughout the weekend as well.
It seems most of the guys in that ASM RS Motors crowd know how to wheel.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's like there's something in the water up there.
Up there in Stevens Point, I can't tell you what it is,
Yeah,
but I think it's the ice racing, to be honest.
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's weird that such a small town has such a dense population of drivers.
Yeah, of car people in general.
Because, what was it? Eric Kaler and Megan are up there.
Yep.
And
CCA solo regulars.
Yep, and Andy and all of his people, and Alex is pretty close.
Yep.
Seems like there's just a lot of fast drivers in Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got, I think that's Kian Ding in the Focus RS. Don't see a whole lot of those competing in time attack.
Not a car we see often. There's one in beginner as well, that's quite the machine for a beginner HPDE. But cool cars. I always enjoy seeing them when I do.
Yeah.
Fast Focus is something as a Focus owner, I feel like that's not something I should be able to say. Mine's broken in my driveway, as most of my cars are. That's neither here nor there. Fast Focus is cool, though. I like it.
So, I think, though, for preference, I think Fiesta STs are cool.
I do love a Fiesta ST.
Yeah.
But, like, a perfect daily for me would be a Focus ST. You want a little bit bigger than the Fiesta, because I've got the kid and all that, you know.
Sure.
So.
And you and I share a doughy physique.
Yeah.
Having a little bit more space is nice.
Yeah, climbing in and out of cars it's slowly getting more and more difficult. It's strange that way.
So we're about 13 and a half minutes into Time Attack Session B. We've got Nick Kors leading the session with a 2:16.4. Mullet Racing not far behind, 2:19.0. Chad Ross in his track mod car, 2:19.9. And then Luca Barbaras, 2:20.0. Jimmy Diggs, 2:20.7. Jeremy Boyson, I believe, in the Street GT C8 with a 2:21.8. I'm going to have to tell him to get on that. If Club TR cars are going faster than that.
That should be sub-20s, no problem.
Of course. Richard Cho, 2:22. Chong Lor, 2:22.791. Clay Davidson, 2:22.9 round out the top 10.
Still not a slow group for Time Attack B.
Definitely not, but I think what you'll see in some of the, let's say, Group B and Group C cars are drivers that are making their way into Time Attack, maybe first-time transition people into from HPDE.
Uh-oh. That's the K-tune, or the K-swapped ASM BRZ there.
Yeah, not good luck there for Dana right now. Let's hope that the ASM crew can troubleshoot some gremlins that they've had between GLTC and.
Yeah, it seems Tomo has joined them as well, and not having the best weekend.
It's unfortunate.
Mechanically, so.
But you know what, Time Attack, sometimes you're playing the long game, and one of the challenges of building cars to have them finish last minute is that anything that can go wrong could go wrong, right? So you kind of just have to roll with it and get things dialed in for the next session.
Yeah. My friend Dalton Klein, who should be in the next session here, he's been waiting for quite some time on an engine rebuild for his track mod Corvette, and we were getting down to the very end of the few days we had before this event, and they weren't even giving him a timeline on when his engine would be done. And he starts to talk to me about, like, well, maybe I should just buy one on Craigslist, just buy an LS and get it in there, so at least I have the car to drive. I'm like, it's not worth it, dude. Rushing the car like that, it's just going to cause trouble. We're going to be fighting it. You're going to break something. You're going to oil down the track. You're going to make Adam mad. Nobody wants to make Jabay mad.
No,
it's just not worth it. His daily is a V6 1LE Camaro. It's a perfectly good track car. Yeah, it might not be a track mod competitive vehicle, but you can still come out here. He can put in some laps, and it's going to be a better weekend.
Well, I'll be honest. With the number of cars in track mod, depending on how he does throughout the weekend, he could still secure some points here.
He is currently the season lead track mod leader, thanks to the NOLA events.
That's quite remarkable, I must say.
It is. So, and that's largely the reason that he's here this weekend, is that he was just hoping to maybe put some points up.
So cars rolling back here now. It looks like the flatbed's out to go pick up Dana. Hoping that these cars are okay.
It's just, we talked earlier about whether or not this longer track was going to be nice on Time Attack cars, and so far it hasn't been.
Well,
each session's ended with a tow.
That's Time Attack, right?
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
It's a sport that I think challenges people a lot if they want to be fast.
Yeah.
And it's winning is not guaranteed, and even if you really want it, winning's not guaranteed.
No, it's amazing. There's as much luck as anything.
Yeah. So especially at the unlimited level, our Canadian friends in the unlimited class, if you're watching, those guys really aren't even, they're not coming to an event for track time. Really, they're coming to an event for maybe one opportunity or two to just try and get one or two laps and get them right.
Yeah, it's so hard to get your mind around, and yet I want to do it so badly.
It sounds so hard.
It sounds so hard, but I think that when it comes together, it's absolutely worth the challenge.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. But something that's important for me to keep in context sometimes is like, the Time Attack cars go insanely fast at Road Atlanta, but then the IMSA cars go out and do the same times for like 12 hours.
Oh, looks like he's got the car running on its own power, so that's
hopefully just an electrical issue.
That's reassuring.
Maybe he just said "Ha, JK" when they came out.
I mean, we don't appreciate the delay if that's the case. So we were actually looking at IMSA class times on Circuit of the Americas as compared to the cars at Superlap last week, and it's kind of interesting because they're able to do times that are faster with what is on paper less. Like a GTLM car makes somewhere in the 500 horsepower range, and they're running low 2-minute times at that track.
Yeah.
And those unlimited cars are making a good bit more than that with what is essentially an unrestricted aero.
Right.
And I think it all comes down to those cars have time put in them, like on track. They're shaken out much better. And
well, I mean, testing time costs money, and
so
building a car that can sustain that kind of testing costs a lot of money.
Yeah. So
It's a big challenge to the sport, and the guys that run Unlimited at the front, we love you and we miss you, and
so much.
we cannot wait until COVID restrictions and the infection go away so that we can have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a struggle. So
it's been, I guess, eye-opening and enlightening, and disappointing as well to see like how international the grid life competition actually is, because you know so much of our Unlimited field comes from up north.
What a strange place to build an Unlimited car.
Indeed.
Although they're not that much farther north than I am. When you look at it on a map,
they're really not. And when I
really
lived in
not.
Michigan, I believed I lived farther north than they.
Yeah, it's not hard to live farther north than most of our Canadian friends do, and still be in the U.S.
So cool shot of the paddock here. This is the first year at NCM for Grid Life, because last year we had a COVID cancellation, but we're really pleased with the number of drivers, especially GLTC, that have come out to run at this inaugural event.
Yeah. Over the lunch break, we actually took the chance to break away and go check out the museum itself.
So I've been here 3 or 4 times, and I've never actually been to the museum. I probably should go.
It's like a quick 30-minute thing for someone who doesn't like really love Corvettes.
Okay.
But it's certainly interesting. They have a whole hall in there dedicated to mid-engine Corvette prototypes.
Neat.
They have clearly been thinking about this for a lot longer than I had realized. There's like 8 of them, probably.
Really?
6 or 8 of them in there, from like the 60s all the way through. There's one from the 80s that looks like a Jaguar XJ220. An incredible car. Should have totally built it.
Do you, any Corvette nerds listening to the stream right now, do you think that that's an exhibit that they put out after they released the CA?
I can only imagine that that's the case.
Because they had all these things, and we're like, well, we've been thinking about this, but we didn't do it yet.
They've been talking, like that's always been the rumor, though, right? Every time they start talking about a new gen, oh, it's going to be the mid-engine one. And this time it just finally was, so.
So, cars rolling around here. Time Attack Group C. I believe there's Civic Type R in this session, which...
I think that there is Matt Williams, if I'm not mistaken. He's finally out here in his FC this weekend. He has his fit here as well, but I know he was hoping for this to be the debut event for his FC in Club TR.
Yeah, it's exciting to see him out on track in that car. I think he brought both cars, actually.
He does have both cars, and he's been running a few laps, a few sessions in the fit.
So Matt Williams in his Sunday Cup spec fit, he's been running and was kind of like the person who jumped headfirst into the Sunday Cup.
Certainly was the guy.
And it's exciting. That car is an absolute blast to drive. And I know it's weird saying that about a car that makes 100 horsepower, but it's a really different experience than driving something that's actually fast. Because if you're driving something that slow, 2 things. You enter a corner not thinking about how much you have to slow down, but rather how fast can you possibly go through this corner? Can I go through without touching the brakes at all? And then the second thing is if you start to lose it, you just like touch the brakes and then the car's...
It's always been impressive to me that he will throw the keys to literally anybody that he knows, and you can just go out and do a session. And the car always takes it, and it always comes back, and it always begs for more.
Yeah, I had the chance. I've driven that car at Gingerman. I drove it at Summit Point, Shenandoah. I've driven it at Mid-Ohio. Usually, if he's looking for a way to, like, give me a smile, almost always he'll be like, hey, go for a drive.
Sometimes Abe gets a little stressed out at events. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, this like running a competition that is legitimate and it's fair to everyone and it's a place where people have a fun time. Yeah, that's it. It takes a lot of work to make sure all those things happen. And thank you to all the behind the scenes crew that make all of this stuff possible.
Absolutely. So there on screen, the Festiva of Grid Life Regular, one of my favorites. Actually wearing this shirt for their team. They were building an Unlimited Festiva for a while. and it burned to the ground in the workshop.
Oh no!
By accident. Something had like arced the battery or something along those lines. So,
can I say
I
that
felt like the least I could do was buy a T-shirt and.
Can I say that
throw
that's
a little
tragically
support.
hilarious?
Yeah, it's a real bum deal. it's the worst. You know, they were days away from its debut, and that's been a while now. But yeah, he comes to every event, it seems, every GRIDLIFE event, and just whips that thing around. So it's great.
Not a car that you see often on track, and I'm sure it's a challenge to get parts and support for something that old and that.
So apparently it's some sort of Mazda in Japan.
Okay.
Which I think helps it a little bit.
I'm sure, maybe
It's
a little.
one of those kind of cars, you know, badge engineered sort of things. So.
Let's see, Lisa Keys out on track here. I'm not sure what she's driving this weekend. I think they have a few cars that they like to drive.
Yeah. Starting to get some times in here now, so.
And I believe Peter Zhang is in his STI. He took a year off last year, but was previously running very quick in street mod class a couple of years ago.
Yeah. See another Falken name on there. Are they running 2 cars now?
I think it's the same car. No, actually, I take that back. I believe that's his dad's car.
Oh.
So
awesome. I know that they've often time attack and DE'd that.
Yeah, Josh Halka's time attack car is probably the most driven car in the paddock at any GRIDLIFE weekend.
Yeah.
And it's a Subaru.
Which is impressive.
Which means that they work on it a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
That might actually be Halka's car.
That's 700 on the screen there, so I think that's a different car.
Okay.
But
it
would be awesome if that is, you know, if his dad's moved to time attack.
I think that's right. And so those two would basically double duty every GRIDLIFE weekend.
Yeah.
And his
freewheeling
dad's a
around
pretty good wrench and would work on the car pretty much for the duration that it was off track.
I grew up drag racing as kind of a family thing, you know. My dad doing it, and then when I was old enough, me doing it myself. And there's nothing better than families going to the racetrack. It's the best.
Well, I think it kind of makes things more long-term, right? Like, it's not a thing that you do away from your family. It's a thing that you're there with your family.
Oh, absolutely. So I hope that this year I'll be able to take my son. He's 5. He's finally gotten to the point where he's kind of semi-autonomous, you know, and so he can.
So you're saying your son's a robot?
Yes, absolutely. And so I'm hoping to bring him to 1 or 2 of these events this year, just to, you know, get him hooked on this too.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to keep your child away from drugs is
that's what they tell
just make sure that they don't have any money for anything else, because they will have spent it all on cars.
Isn't that the truth?
3-wheeling again through through that corner.
That thing. Oh man, I love it so much.
That's Drew Turner in the Def Motion S2000. Very good looking car, and Drew is not inexperienced at this track. Has driven here quite a lot and runs track days here throughout the year.
I'm trying to check the.
So I believe Drew's best time was in the 2:22.
2 according to Race Hero here.
Which is a respectable time, but room to grow because Jimmy Diggs is fast.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do, man?
I mean, driver's got to drive.
Yeah, and that kid could wheel. There's no doubt about it.
So actually, when Adam and I were really working hard at developing the Club TR rule set, what we had in mind is, if you recall, Jackie Ding in his S2000 in a stock power car with some aero did a track day at Gingerman, and he ran a 38.0 on a 200 treadwear tire in his S2000.
Right.
And we were like, that's it. Was
that a 255?
Yes.
Okay.
And the lap probably is one of the more beautiful laps that you will see in any car. There will laps that'll be faster, but that lap is almost perfect, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely find it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, so.
So Jackie and the PhD crew have a number of cars here out at this event. They were here testing 2 weeks ago for their own track day. One of their drivers, Mary, in the Type R, and then I think they have a couple more as well.
The S2000 we were talking about earlier that used to be
Jacob. Yeah.
Yes, Jacob. He's got PhD racing stickers on his car, so I'm assuming he's in some way, shape, or form affiliated.
I think that's right. And then they had the white Supra. Someone that's part of their.
I don't know
crew as well.
that that's here this weekend, but.
So we see a number of drivers out. Don't know if anyone's improved. Drew Turner just came across the line with a 2:21.7. Fantastic time.
Yeah.
Looks like the adoption of Club TR is strong for this first event, and I think we're going to see a lot more. This class is really accessible, and it's not classic over-the-top time attack that you're used to seeing, but I still think it's going to be challenging to put together a winning car.
Oh, absolutely. Anything that people dive into, no matter what class you build, it's if people really embrace it and they really dive into it, it's not easy to build a top-tier car. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter what form of racing it is. Time attack, wheel-to-wheel, lawnmower racing. It doesn't matter.
We should get more into lawnmower racing. Is that an Iowa thing?
It is an Iowa thing, actually. There's a track not that far away from me. They were looking for an announcer, and I thought about it, but it was a serious commitment. Because they wanted me
You're saying the lawnmower racing was a serious...
No, like they want me at least one, if not 2 nights a week for like 12 weeks in a row or something.
Oh my goodness.
It's a serious thing there. So
that sounds very intense.
Apparently it is. I need to go and watch it once just because it's hilarious, but I haven't made it yet.
So it looks like Drew might be on a cool down here, just kind of rolling his way through. Not too many drivers on fast ones this late into the session.
Time Attack C tends to be a lot of those people who are able to put together whole sessions without having to do too many cool downs and then flyers and then cool downs and then flyers. So
one of our very iconic grid life photographers, that's Rob Wilkinson in the shot here.
Absolutely.
Bringing the heat on the photographs.
One of the most iconic for sure. So always look forward to seeing the stuff that he puts out.
And Tori Skursky is driving his daily driven BMW 135, which I think he's time attacked for a few years now because he's been trying to put together his time attack Nissan Juke.
I was going to say, is he not the Juke owner?
He is the Juke owner,
okay.
but he's been driving the BMW for a number of years.
Well, I miss the Juke. I can say that because the Juke was fantastic. I really liked the Juke.
Well, you have a propensity for odd cars.
I have for terrible cars. Just say it. That's what it is. It's fine. I liked the Juke. The biggest problem for me with the Juke was that you could get it as a manual or a turbo and all-wheel drive, but not all three. You could pick 2. That was one of those deals, and it was really frustrating.
Racer's dilemma.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. And then they put out the Nismo, which has the terrible Nissan CVT that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So.
Well, that's unfortunate. So let's see, who else has improved on this session? Matt Williams in Club TR 225.6. It's exciting to have that car out for its inaugural event, but a little bit off pace for the Club TR.
Yes. So that's an interesting car for Club TR.
I think he just likes rotaries.
Well, he does. He's got a long history in rotaries. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know if it's the car I would choose.
Well, I think that's the interesting challenge, or maybe the opportunity of running a grid life track battle, right? So you have the option to either start with a blank slate and build the car that you think will have the best chance to win.
Right.
Or you can build the car you want to drive and just try and drive it fast.
Right.
And I think in Matt Williams' case, he has a winning spec fit, and he just wants to drive his rotor.
I get that. So can they be turboed in Club TR?
I think
his is not.
I think they cannot.
Okay. I remember there being some discussion.
So
about
like
that
the
when rules first came out.
two-rotor turbo FDs are
Yes.
not Club TR legal.
Okay.
But I think FCs are. And I believe it was because we expected the performance potential of the FD to be too high for the
The
car.
FC and the FD have different turbo setups on them.
Ah,
Because the FD is a twin turbo vehicle, whereas the FC is a single turbo.
I see. Yeah, maybe that's the difference.
So, I don't, yeah. For a very short period of time, I owned an FC turbo. It never ran as most rotaries do.
Well, and as most of the cars in your driveway
Most of the
tend
cars
not
I own do as well, too. Yes, thanks for pointing that out again.
I'm not going to let you forget.
You're not wrong.
So we're winding down here on the session, 13 and a half minutes in. Joseph King's still out there banging laps in that Fiesta.
Yeah,
or
as he
Festiva.
should be. As he should be.
I think those have to be, they can't be more than 12-inch wheels.
I don't know. So I have a car that runs similar wheel and tire packages to that, and I love my 13s. I think they look the business. They're hilarious. They're super light.
I imagine,
in a world where unsprung weight is really important, a tiny little rim like that is great.
well, I mean, I think
Spin out.
we see a little bit of that with Eric Catil's EG in GLTC. I think he runs 15s, which is on the smaller side compared to what a lot of people run.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I just assumed there were 17s on that car because that's kind of the tire size that everyone's gravitated to.
Well, I imagine though that as the wheels get smaller, the tires get smaller, of course, but
tires get cheaper too. It seems. Which
cheaper is a big deal.
It's very important when you're running Hoosiers. So.
So a few cars rolling around here, still out on track. Almost 15 minutes in. I expect the checker here soon. Fast times from the session are Drew Turner with a 221.7, Mary Valdez in the Type R 222.7, Andrew Sonneville, who I believe has a track mod Miata 225.4, Matt Williams 225.6, Ethan Bailey 226.4, Lisa Keys 230.3, Ian Menger 230.4, Neru Chetty 230.8, Daniel Chun 230.9, and Dalton Klein 232.0, rounding out the top 10.
That Camaro that Dalton Klein's in, I don't know why all of us don't own something like that.
Why's that?
GM honors the warranty on track. That's actually the second motor that's been in that car because the first one was lost on track. And he flat out told them that. Yeah, I blew this motor up on the track, and they put a new one in it for him. So they honor the warranty. Last weekend, he put 150 miles on that car on a track and did nothing to it to bring it here this weekend.
Something to be said about a reliable car on track.
I mean, it's a V6, which the V6 1LEs, I think they're kind of in that sweet spot of car where it makes enough power to be fun, but it's not so much power that it can easily overcome its grip level.
Sure.
Because it's such a fantastic chassis.
Well, and I think, maybe this is a good time to comment on exactly that. I think if you're watching GridLife live stream and you're thinking about getting into HPD or Time Attack, there is this temptation to, you want your car to have this much horsepower and you need to have this many mods and it needs to be this fast before you can come out and do a track day. And I think it's really important to know that slow cars are better track day cars because they allow you to be on track more minutes. The really, really high horsepower cars, especially if they're modified, tend to get in the way of being on track a lot.
Well, and the other thing is that the pointy end of these classes, almost across the board, is that those drivers, they didn't start this year.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And even putting laps in a slower car is making you a better driver.
Absolutely true.
And that's been proven time and time again to be just as, if not more important than the car you're driving.
Well, we take a driver like Andy Smedegaard, who is kind of famous in GridLife circle with his, they call it the A chassis Evo 9 that they have. He would rarely bring that. checker now. He would rarely bring that car out on track, only for competition, but he would always have his S2000, which he called Trainer, out to do laps. And he would say that driving the S2 made him a faster driver in the Evo.
Yes.
So we'll take a minute now to thank the GRIDLIFE Time Attack 2021 sponsors, Falken Tires. Falken Tires, competition proven performance, 303 performance, premium protectants and cleaners exceeding expectations since 1980. By STA-BIL, ready, winning, STA-BIL. And by Forgestar, official wheel partner of GRIDLIFE Time Attack. And finally by HP Tuners, performance at your fingertips.
Huge thanks to all those guys.
So thanks everyone for, I think this is the conclusion of the live stream for the day. We've got no more competition sessions scheduled for this afternoon. And so we look forward to picking you back up tomorrow morning for GRIDLIFE GLTC and Time Attack.
Here at FCP Euro, we take pride in the fact that each and every one of your orders is picked, packaged, and shipped by a fellow car enthusiast. We understand that you need the right parts and need them fast to complete that next project or get your daily driver back on the road. Take Mike, one of the smiling faces in the FCP Euro Pickup Center, who assists customers whenever they have to come in and pick up their orders. Mike has an evolving collection of BMWs, including his beautiful E30 that often require maintenance, so he understands the importance of making sure that each customer gets quality parts. But Mike also underscores our value of making sure every customer has a fantastic buying experience here at FCP Euro. To learn more about us, head to fcpeuro.com.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Hey, we still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting. Yeah, dun da da. The wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.